Hi, Shahidul. Thanks for your time. Um, First of all, we would like to know a little bit more of what you've been doing during the last 30 plus years in Bangladesh, but most of all, your recent involvement with the government of the City Council of Guadalajara in Mexico, and how your knowledge has been taken into account by a government that is so far away in South America. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience, that recent experience?
Okay, well, I'm a photographer, writer, curator, and an activist, I suppose, based in Bangladesh. And we live in a country with limited resources where there are a huge range of things that have been done. It's a bustling, thriving, vibrant city which is feeling the pressures of overpopulation and dealing with it. As an artist, as an activist, I've been looking at how these changes have taken place and how it affects everyday people. Because often decisions are made by people who don't always have an engagement with people on the ground, and often the average person isn't consulted. Experts make decisions who have often no touch with reality. So I was quite surprised.
Western experts in many cases.
Western experts, even local experts who have Western connections or are Westernized in some way.
Points of view.
Yes. So what happens often is you get theoretical solutions to practical problems which applied on the ground do not work. And it is a challenge in the sense that the mindset treats those people as the experts. So the people on the ground are not the people considered to be knowledgeable. I was therefore very surprised when I was approached by UNESCO initially, who was working with the Zapopan municipality, and they were looking at how they might shape the future of their city, of the urban space. So initially it was curiosity, but when the people explained that they actually were going to put culture at the heart of their development plan, I was very excited. Because I felt it was a worthwhile thing to do, but also because that would mean that I would come across people who were receptive to that, for me, very interesting idea. But they were also mobilizing interesting people from other parts of the globe who all had different things to say. Now, for me, it was also interesting in the sense that I played a very critical role often in these situations. And the government or the establishment isn't generally so interested in listening to critical voices. But here I found someone actually welcoming me because of what I'd said. When we got together, it was interestingly planned because I think the range of people were, what's that? Oh, that's the drill. It's
No
okay
worries.
for you?
Yeah, no worries.
Firstly, when I got together, it was quite a diverse group. There were people from, obviously, Latin America, other Latin American countries. There were many people from the municipality itself. There were people from the West Indies, from North America, from Western Europe, and Asia, Africa, including the Pacific Islands. There was a person from the Samoan Islands. So
How many people were there at that meeting, that kind of summit?
I'm trying to think now. I think there would have been certainly on the panels themselves. They were about 30 or so, and then there were other people on the fringe who had also been invited. So one of the things they did on day one, I found interesting. We didn't talk shop. They just took us out to some of the places which were on the periphery of the city.
So you were spotting the problematics directly.
We were being immersed in the environment that they wanted to deal with. And they talked very openly about what worked, what didn't work, the problems they faced, how they were trying to deal with it. We went to rural communities. We went inside churches. We met local people. some of the things that happened were not quite planned. For instance, the person picking me up from the airport was also in one of my panels. And he was listening, and then later on he says, you know, I've mentioned you to my wife and my girlfriend. Will you come to my house? So we went to his house. He's a low-paid government employee, but it was nice for me to see how someone actually lives. You know, met his mother, met the two dogs, and he insisted on taking me all around the house, seeing everything, including the toilets. So I got a very first-hand experience. But that was on the side. What also happened was we went to the book fair.
The Guadalajara Book Fair,
which is a fabulous event. I mean, that there is a book fair of that scale. This, as far as I've seen, was the second biggest book fair I've seen after Frankfurt, which was very, very impressive. And within that, I saw a lot of children. And that I found very, very encouraging, that parents were taking their children to a book fair, and that children were so integrated into many of the things that we talked about. But in terms of discussions, it was actually a very wide range of people. They were city planners, they were bureaucrats, they were finance people, they were people from the various different artistic disciplines, in having worked in different environments, in different conditions, and we shared our experiences to a large extent. But having shared the experiences, and this was one of the good things about the way it was planned, we had our own presentations, but then a large part of it really was the interaction between the others and the audience in terms of what they faced and how there might be solutions, how what we had experienced could be a learning environment for other people.
So the audience was comprised of, lay public or bureaucrats, people that were working in the city.
The audience was mixed, but the entire event was coordinated by a university.
Okay.
So we went to a theatre, a beautiful theatre, which was part of the university, and the university was running the theatre. The university was running the public library, so the academia had a very different role.
Involved in the city.
Completely, and so it was also students who stayed involved and got engaged. So it wasn't really mainstream professionals, but at every level it was happening.
But it's interesting when you say university, because that also means that some of those students maybe in the future engaged in the government, working in some areas, or will be engaged with organizations that may work with the state.
These are future citizens, future leaders. They are present citizens, but certainly possibly future leaders, future gatekeepers, future policymakers. So in that sense, it was interesting, but also I felt that this mix between bureaucracy and academia and practice and cultural practitioners was a very interesting mix where each was able to bring in something that the other did not have. And certainly I was impressed by the fact that there were theatres of the type that we went to, which belonged to the university. So the university ran it. They decided what the content should often be. And, certainly one of the ones we went to, the theatre had a seating of about 1,800 and had been, the initial performance was by Placido Domingo. So, quite incredible stuff. And even the design of the place, the acoustics of the place was very, very impressive. So that was one side of it. The other was the fact that when we began, the mayor and a whole lot of other important people in policy making were there to listen to what we had to say. As expected, I suppose, the mayor did not stay all the time, but he did. He was there, and his presence made a difference.
Yeah, of course, and most of his senior staff were there, for sure.
Well, what also happens is when the mayor's there, and he gave a very intelligent speech, it's a signal. to the others.
Yeah.
And when leadership puts together a signal like that and talks about how culture needs to be integrated into society and how culture shapes the way a city grows. Because where I come from, a lot of the city planning is seen from an infrastructural point of view. It's not seen in terms of social interactions. It's not seen in terms of the human aspects of a living city. And that I found very, very interesting.
Thanks so much, Shahidul, for your comments and for sharing with us such exciting experience in Latin America.
Well, there is another part of it. Thank you for asking me, because I think we have a lot to learn from Latin America, and Latin America has a lot to learn from Asia. And to a large extent, our inspiration has been locked in by what comes from North America and Western Europe. The fact that we are beginning to look outside of it, and that South-South collaboration is being treated as being important by both sides, I think is very important. Thank you.
Thank you.